Why do people constantly make excuses? Why do people focus more on their weaknesses rather than their strengths? Why? A lot of people fail to concentrate more on their strengths as against their weaknesses. They focus more on their weaknesses instead of focusing on their strengths. And that's why they've not been able to excel. That's why they've not been able to achieve the greatness that is predestined for them to achieve. Now, you know you have this particular weakness. You know you have weaknesses. I mean, we are not perfect. God created us in His own image. However, there are imperfections in our lives that we know, and that's why we are humans. And that's why He is God, because He is perfect. And He created us for a reason. And you've grown up, I mean, you are at this level, and you understand the particular weakness that is in your life. The question is, why focus on your weakness? Why focus on your weaknesses? Why not focus on the strengths? Okay? And this is the reason why people are still where they are at the moment, because they focus more, they concentrate more on what is not working in their life, on the path the term weakness. They say, I cannot achieve this because of this. I cannot. Let me use myself as an example. While I was growing up, okay, because I used to be a stammerer and I'm still a stammerer, okay. I was born a stammerer, like that. And I noticed that there was something that was consistent while I was growing up. Anytime I'm being called upon to answer questions, maybe in class, maybe in church, I begin to sweat unnecessarily. I begin to fidget. Most of the time, I know the answer. But the problem is, I'm looking more at, I will stammer. If I get up, people will see that I'm stammering. And to even worsen the entire scenario, while I was growing up, in school, I have friends that consistently bully me, that will keep imitating me, so it was a lot for me to actually contain. But at a point in my life, I was asking myself, when I started understanding my purpose and my potentials, I began to ask myself, do I really want to sit with this weakness? Do I want to pamper these weaknesses? Do I want to overindulge myself, because of this weakness? Moses in the Bible was a big time stammerer, and he was mightily used by God. At the beginning, Moses wanted to focus more on his inadequacies, but God prompted him back to his strength. He was mightily used by God. So what am I saying? What I'm saying is, you've got weaknesses. We know everybody has one weakness or the other. But the point is, you don't need to focus on those weaknesses. Why not concentrate more on your strength, your capacity, your capabilities, the things God has inculcated inside of you to be exceptional? If you can take stock of the potential God has inculcated inside of you, you know that if it far outweighs any form of weaknesses that you might think you have. Now, what are the issues? The issues simply are the fact that most of us focus more on the weaknesses that is almost inconsequential. Now, don't forget, what you focus on more, it magnifies. And you begin to see that because you are focusing more on your weaknesses, it begins to magnify. All what you see is your weakness, is your inadequacies. And that's what I'm trying to bring to the fore this afternoon. Focus more, okay, on your strength. Focus more. Once you focus more on your strength, you begin to see that your weaknesses becomes almost irrelevant to you. People don't even see your weaknesses anymore. There are a lot of people that are successful today. If they put their mouth to explain to you the kind of inadequacies that they have, the kind of weaknesses that they exhibit, you will be shocked. Why? Because they didn't focus on all of those those inadequacies. They focus more on what they can achieve, on the strengths that God has inculcated inside of them to be exceptional. That's the crux of today's conversation. Just like I didn't focus on my stammering, my speech impediment. I'm talking to you now, because I focus more on what I have to offer, what my weakness is telling me. So what am I saying? I'm saying now that you just have to focus more. See, you've got more than you think you are capable of achieving. God didn't create you, okay, with strengths and weaknesses and expecting you to focus on your weaknesses. Take Paul, for example. Paul had his own weaknesses, but did he focus on it? No. If David were to consider his physique, he wouldn't have confronted Goliath. No, he wouldn't. He said, look at me. Look at Goliath. Shefek Pamini in Yoruba. He will kill me. See this mighty man. Look at the way I look. You didn't look at that. But you look beyond the physicality. You look beyond his physical strength. He was looking beyond that to see, what are my strengths? How can I defeat this Goliath? What do I have? And he capitalized on what he had, his strength, over Goliath to defeat Goliath. And that's exactly what I'm talking about. Look at those rich guys, those top billionaires. They have their weaknesses. They have one or two things that is bedeviling them, so to speak, in quotes. But did they focus on all of those? They didn't. They focused more on what God has inculcated inside of them, to do exploits, okay, and to be exceptional. And that's exactly what they focused on. And that is why, in the sands of time, a lot of them have written their names in the sands of time. Why? Because they were conscious enough, to say, yes, I have this weakness, but I won't sit here, calling pity party. I won't sit here, romancing my weakness. I would stand and make things happen. And that's exactly what most of them did for them to be exceptional. You've got weakness. I know you have weaknesses. I know you have limitations. If you sit if you sit and you keep considering your limitations, it will get to a level that you, as an individual, you might not be able to achieve anything worth the while. So what am I saying, Nelson? What I'm saying is, focus more on your strengths. Don't be an excuse manufacturer. Don't use your weakness or your weaknesses, as the case may be, as a form of excuse to remain where you are. Don't use it, to make you become married to your comfort zone. You see, so the crux of today's conversation is focus more on your strengths. You've got a lot of things inside of you that will make you exceptional, that will make you incredible, that will make you outstanding, that will make you a force to be reckoned with. So focus on your strengths. I wish you all the best. I love you guys. My name is Olaoluwa Olajide. Keep doing it.